All right, now what you've all been waiting for. I have all of the credentials that I need to read, but before I say that, our keynote, Mina, is probably one of the nicest and energetic people I've ever talked to. So she's awesome, and I'm very excited that she's part of this conference. She is, now the official, Mina Kothundaraman, yeah? Nice. is co-founder of Twig and Fish Research Practice in Boston. She's a lifelong researcher, and she's passionate about studying human behavior, sometimes with a cocktail, sometimes without, depends on the mood. In addition to her many credentials, Mina is a longtime lecturer in Bentley University's Human Factors and Information Design program. And then fittingly, couldn't think of a perfect way to close out our Toronto conference, she is also a proud Canadian from Ottawa. So, with further ado, I would like to introduce Mina to the stage.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay, guys, get up. Everybody get up. Come on. We are not sitting down for 2 minutes. How many of you already know the song? Oh, come on, really? Come on, guys. You know what? The Village people, they actually meant to say UXVA. They did not mean to say YMCA. Okay? So, let's do it. Ready? UXTA, yeah? Come on, you can do this. Let's crank up the volume. This is the end of the conference, guys. Let's do it. I'm waiting. The YMCA song. This is the longest intro to this song. Gentlemen, do we have the song? There we go. That's it, Bob. Yeah! All right, I won't make you guys do the whole song. Thank you so much. Get a little energy in your body. Sit down, get comfortable. We're going to talk. Thank you, my friends, at the audio center thingy over there. Okay. Well, first of all, how are you guys doing? Really? That's really bad, because you got to speak for everybody that's missing, that's going to watch this video recording afterwards. How are you guys doing? Way better. Way, way better. Okay, so this has been an amazing few days. I think we all are sort of likening ourselves to that Far Side cartoon where the kid is like, "Can I be please excused because my brain is full?" I feel like I'm having that moment already, and I really appreciate you guys staying for this, because honestly, everybody's like, "Heard your closing keynote, but really sorry, gotta go, gotta catch a flight." So thank you so, so much for being here with me. I'm very, very excited. We heard amazing keynotes to start us off with John. John first spoke to us about the importance of that excitement of creativity that we bring to this whole thing, right? And that was awesome. We got a chance to start that way. And how we try to really foster that creativity where we go and try to bring it everywhere we go and sort of share it with everybody at work. And then Regent did a really good job of talking a little bit more about the fact that organizations need to empower people, and it's up to the organization to be set up really nicely as well. And clearly Ultimate Software is doing a great job, and I don't know if you guys felt it, but I just felt like he was really happy. He's a really happy guy. And so sweet, because he reached out to me today, and he's like, "I'm really sorry I can't be there, but I'm watching the recording afterwards, and it's just great for all of us to have connection with our talks." Before I go further, though, a big, big thank you to Sarah Mastro and to Brian Mills and to Chris LaRoche. Where are you? There you are. and so many of my Bentley peers here who have just been so supportive and awesome, and to my wonderful colleague, Zarla Ludin, who inspires me every day. I really do appreciate it. So let's talk a little bit about what my talk is about then. So John talked about our creativity, right? Regent talked about the organization. Where do we fit into all of this, though? What happens when we go to work? Because we are all like, woo, crazy right now. And we're all like, oh yeah, I can take on the world and awesome. And then we go back to work. Right? And shit happens then, or not. Yes, I swear, I know. But Chris started it. It's his fault. Yeah. So Chris started it. But what happens when we leave here? So I want to share some thoughts with you guys. I just need to let you know that I'm not always very nice, and I do have horns that are going to start popping out very soon, because I'm very opinionated. I'll put it out there, just so you know, so I can say I told you so. But here's the deal. Completely tangential. How many of you have ever been to an Indian wedding? Yeah, pretty cool, eh? How about an Indian wedding in India? Whoa! Okay, was it just like chaotic? Right? Danielle's like, yeah, right? Chaotic. There's no other way to put it. So I had the opportunity of getting married in India, even though 99% of my family is here. My husband's family's from India, and he had the most loving, wonderful 98-year-old grandfather who came and held my hand and said, would you please get married here so I can be there at the wedding? The cutest man possible, how do I say no? I'm like, absolutely, done. Boy, I didn't know what I signed myself up for. It's seriously, it's a shit show. There's just no other way to put it. There really is no other way to put it. It was completely amazing, and when my husband actually leaned over and he ties a necklace around my neck, and it's like, you know, you can't hear anything, you can't see anything, he just said, if our children ever want to elope and go to Jamaica, the answer is yes. And I'm like, I like this man, I like the way he thinks. But there was a wonderful, wonderful thing that one of my closest cousins said to me, and I love that because in some ways, some people, you know how people say things in your life and you sort of keep it with you and you don't let go of it? So she said, it is an amazing moment in your life. And when you go through it, because it's going to be completely chaotic, with a bug flying in front of me, right? It's going to be completely chaotic. Every once in a while, look at everybody, close your eyes, and take a picture. And I promise you, she said, I promise you, you will be able to go back to that moment and it will fuel you. It will keep you going. And I thought, yeah, it's a good idea, yeah. And I actually remembered to do it, which was actually very impressive because I hadn't slept in like 6 days. Did I mention that I got married at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning? And I don't know if you know me, Zarla will tell you, I don't function in the morning. So I was pretty lucky that I married the right guy. So anyhow, I did this. But here's the deal. I want to ask you to go through this exercise with me, if you'll sort of entertain this. And I want you to close your eyes. Okay? Just take a moment. Breathe in and out. Feel the UX happiness. It is surrounding you. No sneezing. And for a moment, I want you to think about a moment in your own lives that you can sort of reach back to that gave you a sense of happiness. Something that lasted longer than the moment. I like how some people have their hands in their head going, oh, shit, what is she making me do here? But just humor me for a second. Take that moment. Everybody has a sort of snapshot, getting a little nod of heads. People have something that they can go back to, right? Gentleman in front of me is peeking. He's got his eyes wide open. Hey, no peeking. All right? Now go ahead and open your eyes. Keep that thought in your mind, though. Maybe some of you will tell me that it had something to do with emotion. Something that stirred you in the inside. And I'm not going to embarrass anybody, don't worry. I'm not going to ask you what that moment was. But you all know that there are those moments, right? There are those feelings that we have sometimes. Sometimes they're emotionally based. And you can hold on to it. Maybe for some of you, it was a moment of meaning. Something that was a greater thing for you. Something that you were really focused on. Something that spoke to you. Maybe for some of you, it was a sense of purpose. Something that really drove you, that fueled you, that gave you that goal that you could move towards. And I love when I ask my children this, because I ask my children this question every once in a while. And they say it was a choice they made. Something that they chose to do. That meant something to them. In all of these things, though, if we reach into these moments in time, we realize that it speaks to us as people. Right? These are sort of things that make us people, make us human. These things that are inside of us that are sort of hard to quantify sometimes, but it's very, very precious. It's very precious. And when we look at that concept of humanity, we realize that we're a pretty lucky group. In speaking to so many people over the last few days, even going to Karen Holtzblatt's talk, which I thought was just wonderfully delivered. She's just a vibrant presenter. In thinking of all this, you realize that humanity is something that is very special to all of us. It keeps us going. It's stuff like this that sort of we put our fingers into, and it's a very, very big part of who we are and what we do. But in doing this, we realize that we have to focus on these moments, whatever your moment is, so don't lose sight of it for a second. It's in your mind still. It's those moments that take us through so, so much. I want to ask you to do it for me one more time, but I have a different question this time. If you would all close your eyes one more time for me. Yes, your eyes are going to get a workout here. And if anybody takes a short snooze, I won't be upset about it at all. But do it for me one more time, if you will, and I'm going to ask you a second question. When was the last time you had that moment of something, some happiness, something, at work? Okay, I'm already seeing some people giggle. I'm seeing some people sort of snicker. And my question to you is, it's not easy, right? If you open your eyes and you ask yourself, for those of you who are Game of Thrones people, this is who I always think about when I feel sarcastic in my moment, right? But the question actually remains, why is this so hard? Why is it so hard for us to feel those moments at work? We clearly know how to feel them outside of work, but why is it so hard at work? And I want to challenge that a little bit. I want us to think about that. I don't want us to just leave and go, woo, just spent great 3-4 days at UXPA, it was awesome. But we need to bring those moments of humanity to work. That's really what we want to do. So who are we and what do we do? We are UX. I feel like we are a privileged, wonderful, special lot of people. I always think of myself as having one hand in the organization and one hand out to the people, right? There's the people we serve, But clearly, we also want to take care of the organization as well. So we're sort of straddling this odd space of sorts. It is a very prestigious role. I take it seriously. I think we are fortunate to have that opportunity because we get to see everything. But the point here, and to say that we're sort of different from marketing, because marketing too sort of does that if you think about it. But we go so much more beyond the sale. Nothing against marketing. You need marketing in an organization. But we go beyond. We go for that relationship beyond. And it is really important for us to understand that we're a constant. We're always there, and we're always thinking about people. Even well after the sale's been made, we're making sure that things are happening. That the promise that I gave Mike when he opened that box of Fruit Loops, for God's sakes, Mike, seriously, where's the milk, right? When he opened that box of Fruit Loops, that he just doesn't feel that one sense of satisfaction. He feels happiness and moments of happiness all the way through. And clearly, many of you have experienced that as well, because you probably dipped into his box of Fruit Loops. And if you haven't, I advocate that you do. But that's not what we're talking about here. So the key here is we have the organization, we have UX, and we have the people. If we think about the organization first, though, the organizations today are struggling a little bit. I feel like they're struggling because the shift is towards numbers. I hear this all the time in class at Bentley, with the students that come in. I hear this with the workshop that we ran on Monday. Some of the points that we discuss with people in the workshop, and they're like, yeah, it's deadlines, budgets, ROIs, numbers, right? And the shift is towards numbers of all kinds. And I know my quantitative friends, I know Bill Albert is not here, but he and I talk about this all the time because I am a qualitative researcher, he is more of a quant guy. And for some reason, people feel like those two don't fit together. And I've never understood that because they complement each other. They work in concert with each other. But the point here is that from his vantage point, he always says, I don't even think people do the numbers properly either. I agree. But the deal is numbers seem to be so much more prevalent everywhere we go. That in doing so, I'm actually saying that the numbers have actually shifted us and the organizations have shifted away from humanity. We're not thinking about those human moments. What makes it special? How many of you remember Regent's point about the Marriott? Right? He told a story about the Marriott. I don't know how you guys listened to his story, but I listened to his story and I heard one thing that just jumped out. It's almost like it literally was bolded and italicized as he was speaking, which is when the gentleman or the person came to the door to hand over, remember he said, hand over the blankets and the sheets. Does anybody remember what he said? They didn't even say, I'm sorry. They didn't even say, geez, this is a really bum of a situation that we've left you in. Nobody showed or expressed any of that. Does anybody remember that? And the point there is, we're actually very easily appeased sometimes. It's the small things. When walking to the event, all the events have been wonderful. When walking to the event last night, the person that I was with sort of joked and said, well, yeah, but people just want apps and neat things and stuff. Who cares about that kind of thing? But I actually am going to argue back, and I did because I know he was just toying with me. But I argued back and I said, no, I think people would give up a lot of things if they could just get simple value. If we could just appreciate those simple things and people get that with us. I believe we all value that. And we look for that every day we go to work. It's small stuff, right? I read this yesterday. I definitely troll Twitter a lot. And I read this yesterday. It was extolling the virtues of Brooks Brothers, which many of you know have been around forever. And said, we have to be, the Brooks Brothers statement was, we have to be, more agile, customer-focused, in response to how people are buying clothing. And they were talking basically about how SAP is really helping them in creating better talent acquisition type of platforms. So this is talking about the people in the organization. Now, I'll give you a moment to just read that. But what kills me is that they don't talk about any human aspects. Notice how they start with it reinforce it's performance-based, results-oriented. How does this feel human at all? This is what we're up against all the time. I believe this. I hear this in my work. I hear this all the time. Academia, my peers, this is all we hear. And it's funny how they said, part of a family, but be highly productive. I don't know about you, my family does not expect me to be part of my family and also be highly productive. Nobody ever calls me out for that. Even though I'm highly OCD, I've never been told, you're a part of the family, and by the way, you better be productive. How does that get together? How does that make any sense? And the point there is, these are things that we're hearing and we're being reinforced with constantly. But my ask is, how are the human complexities even considered or incorporated? So, we talked about the organization. Let's talk about the people, just for a quick moment, that we serve. How many of you, just a quick show of hands, how many of you feel after you buy a product, any product of any sort, that the company that you bought the product from is going to love you as much as your own family? That wasn't a joke. It wasn't a joke. But why are we laughing? This is the sad part. We don't even believe it. When has acceptable become exceptional? Like if something is okay, we're like, wow, something bad didn't happen. Right? When did that change? Why is that okay? Don't forget our role in this. We want to build trust, but there is no trust. Trust is a really, really small thing now. It's not like people talk about, oh, I go to this organization, I totally trust them, and they have my back, and I know they're going to take care of me. Look what happened to Regent. Super, uber, goober, platinum, whoops, there goes my earring. Super, uber, goober, platinum member, right? I realize that these over-the-ear mics are not friendly for people with earrings. Note to anybody in here who designs them. Right? Okay. So the key here is he was uber goober platinum man, and he still wasn't taken care of. Why do I suddenly feel louder? Okay. So it's a really odd situation to find ourselves in. We don't have trust. So the people that are coming to our organizations don't have trust. In fact, the odd thing, and this is like a different conversation completely, people have more trust in complete strangers. How many of you look at reviews? Quick show of hands. You look at reviews? Do you know all the people that you read reviews about and read reviews from? Right? And people always go, oh, never look at the 5 stars, don't look at the 1 star. 1 stars are crazies, 5 stars are crazies. Right? So you go to the 432. So suddenly 432 has become impactful. But the question is, when did these complete strangers become more trustworthy? Isn't that odd? So we're dealing with a lot of things here because, again, don't forget, we're UX. One hand in the organization, one hand at the people. And I want you to think about that. So my worry is that humanity and the belief in it is just being challenged. Organizations are not thinking about humanity. How many have seen The Incredibles? Right? Do you remember this moment when Bob Parr is at his desk and this old, lovely old lady who's just, you just want to hug her, is suddenly there and she's sitting in front of him and she's like, oh, please, just help me. And she is begging for help. And what happens? He goes, oh, I'm really sorry, I can't help you. And then he leans forward and he's like, so you know what you have to do? You got to go talk to Rick in Human Resources. He's going to be able to, oh, I'm really, really sorry. Gee, wish I could do a better job of this. But He is at his own organization and he doesn't feel empowered to help somebody. And that's what they're supposed to do. Sort of odd. So organizations, as far as I'm concerned, are experiencing a tension between doing and feeling. We go through these as humans ourselves. We go through this all the time. It's called a midlife crisis. How many of you know somebody who's been in a midlife crisis? And you sort of smile and you're like, tee, oh yeah, that person started to dress real funny suddenly, right? Came in, nice stretchy yoga pants, right? We've all seen this. But what are characteristics? I know you all want to know where he got that pink jacket from, right? This is because of my fabulous visual designer, Dave Chung. I'll talk about him afterwards, but he's amazing. He found this and we both peed our pants laughing. But literally, you've seen people, they go for the cool, right? The yellow car, the pink jacket that don't match. And don't forget the button-down shirt. That really does make a difference, right? How about people who pick up these random, crazy, crazy hobbies? In the middle of a midlife crisis, they suddenly go off and do basket weaving or something completely nutty. Or they get a facelift. How many of you are familiar with this story, just out of curiosity? Yeah. Taiwanese model who is in this picture for a plastic surgery company. And basically, in the process of going through this, it was supposed to only be used by the plastic surgery company. It ended up getting viral. People created a viral family for her, saying that this was actually her family. Those were actually her children. And it became truth. So reality became viral and virtual became truth. And it was scary as hell because basically they created an entire story about her. And it's gone around the world in multiple languages. And this poor woman has no identity now. Serious stuff, right? But the facelift. And she has never had plastic surgery, it seems, either, which is really sad because she was doing this for a plastic surgery company. How about Ryan Gosling? I know, I can just sort of go, just stare at this for a while because I have him right here, right near me. But the people sometimes go towards an affair, right? We have people who just suddenly break out into an affair and they are living an alternate reality. Yeah, so are we all in the US, but that's besides the point, right? Chris, I know. Both my Chris friends, I know. Okay, so some people go towards an affair. They're in another world. They believe that that other world is just dandy. And the question here is, that's great, Mina. I want to channel my inner Robin Williams when he's like, that's great, bitch. What are you talking about, right? Like literally, what the hell does this have to do with an organization? But actually, it actually does. Any of you familiar with Juicero? Right? How about cool? Let us go for something so cool that people actually don't really need the damn machine. They can just squeeze the shit out with their own hands. How about that? Because it was cool. Look at that machine on the right-hand side, my friends. It is Apple-esque. It is a thing of beauty. But it was cool. Did it serve the purpose? No. And the sad part about it is it got called out before it went too far, but wow, that CEO did not feel good about himself. Don't go for cool, guys. Cool's not always the right thing. Think about the people. Anybody familiar with this story? Everybody knows who Smith & Wesson is? Again, with our lovely US climate, everybody probably does now. Smith & Wesson decided, oh, we make guns. We should make bikes for people who carry guns. Such a logical thing to do, right? Just perfect logic. Makes absolute sense. Clearly somebody didn't like that on the other side, right? How about this? I know some of you are going to go, that's mean, Mina. But really, I'm sorry, they didn't do a whole lot between the 6 and the 7. Right? Oh, look, it's now in 2 different colors. Rock on. That's awesome. I'm sure there's going to be people who are like, oh, what? Green, I'm so happy. Great. But that's not helping us. What is this all about? And then we could just look at numbers. We could focus on numbers. How many of you have ever used Google Wave? Right? Look at Mike, he's so happy. He's like, I have. Right? Google Wave, they went with numbers, right? So perfect. They go, Sarah uses email. Sarah likes to do social media. Sarah wants to see what's going on in her life and keep a, categorize of all of her photos. I feel like the Indian is coming out of me. Like, let's put it all into one thing and make it really interesting. Right? Right? That's what it's going to end up being. Right? We'll mix it. It's like a Russell Peters. How many of you like Russell Peters? You got to channel the inner Russell Peters, right? Right? We'll take it all together. Then, right? But it didn't make any sense, guys. But don't forget, I'm not even talking about the people we're serving. I'm talking about the people inside the company who allow this kind of shit to happen. The good news, midlife crises don't last forever. So we have to ask ourselves, we are those people inside the company. Remember, we're the UX people. 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We've already talked about that. That's what we can do. And therefore, we, all of us, and the people who will be watching this afterwards, we need to focus the organization back on humanity. Those moments are invaluable. We know the value of those moments. It is so important for those moments to be recognized. If we let it fall by the wayside, I challenge you, who will focus on those moments? It's on us. And we can do it. We can totally do this. Because those moments of humanity are things that we hold dear. Don't forget about what John said. You got out of school because you are chock full of creativity. These things mean something to you. It's not just random. It's something that we really believe in and we want to apply forward. If we're in the organization, we need to right the wrong. We need to sort of re-navigate and say, guys, this way. Canada is north, not south. Not that the south is bad, but I like my peeps. And the key here is you ask yourself, what moment can I focus on? Where do I start? Because that is a big question. There's no doubt about it. Wow, this mic, I'm sorry, sometimes I hear my voice doing this. So the key here is you ask yourself, what moment can you focus on? And I ask you to think about that. And my ask of you is at the end of every day at work, if you can stick it up on a little sticky note and say, did I focus on a moment? Did I even have a moment? Is there something that I can bring to light here that made me feel like, yeah. That's what I want. Because it's on us. We can do this. The best part about it is we've done it before. So I have many different age ranges in this room. I remember, okay, now I'm dating myself. I remember starting out in this field. Laura and I had a great conversation in our class. I can remember starting out in this field and going to people and going, please, let me run a usability test. It's really important that you do this because you have to think about people. How many of you remember that? And some of you might go, yeah, Mina, that's great. It's 2017 and I still do that. Right? But we've done it before. We actually think about it. For some of the younger people in here, it's not such a battle anymore. We fought that battle and we got it to a point where it was pretty decent. Not so bad. But here's what happened. We got complacent. I'm going to say This is on us. What are we allowing to happen now? We're sort of getting comfortable and saying, oh, look, people are doing usability testing, and oh, yay, hooray. Designers only have 2 days to produce brilliance. Oh, yay, we can do it. We can't let these things constantly happen, guys. Now we're getting complacent. Now we have to stop and go, wait a minute. That might not be the best way to do things. There's a better way. The first thing, we need to advocate for humanity. I will continue the Marriott story very sadly and talk about my colleague for just a short moment who was in a Marriott and basically stayed overnight in a Marriott in Cleveland and ended up getting up with nice big red welts on her body. Yeah, nice, huh? Just what you expect from a hotel stay. The long and short of it is that there were bed bugs in the bed. Yeah, I know you're all like, I suddenly feel scratchy, right? But there were bed bugs in the bed. So one would think, again, we don't even need to be UXers here. If we're just normal, average people who are walking down the street, one would think that if she raised this to Marriott, which she did, she went down to the front desk, a person talked to her and said, oh, I'm so sorry, and oh, let me comp you for your room, and oh, well, let's see what we can do, and manager will get in touch with you, so she leaves a message with the manager. 3 days go by, no manager calls. Isn't that a bit odd? Then she calls customer service, 1-800, and they basically start to question her integrity. You sure you didn't have those red bumps before you walked in here? Right? And then they sort of are like, well, the manager has bigger fish to fry. He can't be answering all of your calls about bed bugs. Say what? How can that manager feel okay with that? That's not a good answer. And it's not done yet. It keeps going. Sorry, it's a bit of a dish on Marriott. I feel bad because when it came up in Regent's talk yesterday, I'm like, crap, really? Again? That's not good. We need to advocate for humanity. If something is not right in the organization, we need to take care of it. It's on us. And we have a client of ours who's in Marriott and texting him, and we've been talking and calling and sending him, and I sent him the picture from Regent's thing yesterday, and I said, way to go. Keynote, first slide at the UXPA conference, it's about Marriott, and he just sends me this huge unhappy face. That's not fun for a UXer to have to hear that. But that's his reality. The question is, what are we going to do about it? We have to advocate for humanity. But the best thing is we've been there before, and we can take this on. Ta-da! We can do this. What are we going to do? Start with nailing the basics. We need to nail the basics. Even with that Marriott story, why do we go to a hotel? So that we have a place to sleep, so that we're safe, and hopefully comfortable, and not red and welty in the morning, or stuck into a little enclave in the window. But we want to be able to nail the basics. How many of you think about your own workspaces for just a second? You can close your eyes if you want to. But think about that and go, are there moments where we don't nail the basics? I can think of a lot of different times that becomes an issue. How many times have any of you had an experience where you go, guys, all I'm trying to do is this. Why is it so difficult? Anybody ever had that moment? Yeah? And you shake your head. So we've felt it on the other side. We've felt it on the receiving side. But in our own organizations, I ask of you, what are we going to do to make sure we take care of those things? And yes, I agree. You're probably looking at me going, yeah, that's nice, Mina, but you haven't worked in my organization, and you don't know the people I work with. I'm with you. It's not easy. I'm not saying any of this is easy, but I ask you, it's like a little bit back to what Karen was saying in her talk. How many of you were at Karen's talk? Any of you here, right? So you can attest to the fact that I'm not making this up. If we want to make the change, it starts with us. I believe those were her words. And we have to think about that. We have to think about how we can make that change. We are so rich with ideas right now. I don't know about you guys, my head is like circling because I can't write down fast enough things that I'm hearing and things that people have said that I'm like, wow, that was good. I like that. It was awesome. I went to the visualization session this morning, and I came out of it going, I love the examples. It's very helpful. Right here, thank you so much. But it was so encouraging to be able to go to these kind of sessions, and you're just like, wow, this is fabulous. That's what we need to do, guys, is nail the basics. Ask ourselves, are we doing a good enough job of those basics? It could be enterprise software. It can be a service. It could be a Fitbit. How many of you have a Fitbit? And would you agree with me that a Fitbit is not something that is meant to keep you still? So it's not like you're going to put the Fitbit on and go, I have a Fitbit. And I'm going to move very slowly, so it does not move, right? Because I am going to actually wager that that's how they did their evaluations of this product. It will rest on my hand, and it will not move because I will not move. So, the Fitbit Surge on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, that's my husband's. He runs a marathon almost every month, and literally, the two bands just fell off. So it's really funny. So he's an interesting Joe. And literally, he took it, and he's like, oh, he was too bothered. He took some string and stuck it to the side and tied it around his hand. I mean, it's funny to see what he's meet up with. And then he was like, oh, just put some tape on it. It doesn't matter. The painter's tape doesn't really hurt. I'm like, really? I'll get you another one. It's okay. He's like, no, I've got stuff in there, and it's like all set up, and right? And then finally, he came home one day, and I heard this thunk. And it was on the floor, and he was like, I'm so done with that thing. He goes, I need to find something else. He tried. I'll give him all the credit. Why do I say this with nail the basics? Isn't the Fitbit about being worn with exercise as well? I mean, it's not just to be worn as a beautiful bracelet, the last time I checked. But who's thinking about that? So the interesting thing is, again, and I talk to people who work at Fitbit, and they're like, yeah, you know what? That's a tough one. What? That's a tough one? That's the best you can offer me? And that's when I get, remember I told you horns will start to pop out? I get angry. I'm like, how can you just be okay with this? Well, that's all the time we have. And who is standing up for this damn Fitbit? Who is standing up for the fact that you are creating something that you should have pride in and that you have put your, blood and sweat in, literally? And it's like, oh, that's what it is? No, that's not okay. Mediocrity is not okay. We can do better. We get excited by better. We're always looking for better. Challenge gratuitous practices. Oh, gratuitous practices. So, as you can imagine, when you're at a conference, sometimes you're sitting at a table and there's people talking table behind you. And yesterday, wow, there was a bunch of people who were ranting about Agile. Right? You know when they say the word Mufasa in Lion King? They're like, Mufasa, ooh. Right? That's what happens to Zarla when we say Agile. We say Agile and she goes, oh, right? She just can't handle it. But the interesting thing is everybody had a different opinion at that table. No, that's not how that's it. No, you are not doing Agile right, my friend. Andrew, you think you're doing it right, but you're not doing it right. Let me tell you how Agile is done. Everybody's got their own interpretation. We just met with somebody last week who basically said, yeah, we put the word sprints into our things because we figured people would like the fact that we use the word sprints. That's literally when I'm very bad at hiding my emotions, I close my eyes because they're like ready to pop out and eat you alive. It's like I'm sitting there going, that makes no sense, people. Why are you doing that? Don't be gratuitous. Don't just go for whatever it is. I'm sorry for those of you who like chatbots, I don't mind chatbots. I have nothing against them personally. They didn't hurt me. They haven't upset me in any way. But my thing about chatbots, which I do think, yes, there's a place for them, is that now everybody wants a chatbot. But has anybody thought about the fact that there is a time for a chatbot? There's a moment for it where it makes sense to have that conversation because it is simple, easy, finite. Any of you have used Dom, the Domino's chatbot, to order your pizza? Really interesting. So we did a little study in my Bentley class, actually, and the students were looking at the concept of chatbot and emotion and what are the behaviors with chatbots and basically trying to understand how does a conversation actually progress where somebody goes from being okay to being able to sort of self-serve to be able to go to the point where they're like, I need to talk to a human. And we did this study, and there were very key points where people said, this is great, I'm okay with this kind of stuff, I want to change my address with my bank. Yeah, no problem at all. I don't want to talk to somebody, that's a waste of my time. I'm not going through the IVR, forget that. I can use a chatbot. But then this sort of fine line comes through where the chatbot starts to become really conversation, go, howdy doody, how are you doing today? You know? And you're just like, oh, what a odd person on the other end. And you don't realize it's a chatbot. And when people started to investigate those behaviors, they said, it is a major trust issue. Do you remember before I said we're already having trust issues? This is not going in our favor. I thought that was a person, and now I find that it was some automated doodad. Like, are you kidding me? People started to have an opinion about that. And it became an issue. So my ask of you is, challenge those gratuitous practices. If it's going to be because it's a great word called chatbot, the question is, does it make sense? Is it really going to take care of our people? Are we thinking about this? Because we need to advocate for the people. Understand the heart of the story. I have a Chase Inc. card. I don't know if any of you have one, but Chase Inc., I was so excited, I did my research on a business credit card, and I decided, okay, I'm going to do my research and come up with the best card. And I'm like, okay, did my research, came up with the card, and thought, ooh, I bet you they have a mobile app. When I went to the Apple store to download the mobile app, it had 32 downloads. And I'm like, 32 downloads, and this is like the best credit card? Are you kidding me? Here's the deal. It does nothing that you need. What is the basic thing for any business to have to do, right? Keep a track of mileage. If you have an expense, it would be nice to say whether it's a billable expense to a client or not. And the amazing thing was, it does none of that. It just shows you your transactions and then gives you some other stuff that I still haven't figured out how to use. And so I thought to myself, how much money is this organization losing in this app? So again, I know people at Chase, and I called them up and I said, I'm just curious. And they're like, oh my God, don't even talk about it. It's such a mess, and it's swirling now. How many of you have been in situations and projects where you just keep on talking about the same stuff and you just keep on, well, we're going to do this, and then our next sprint is going to change this one little icon, and it's going to go to the right, and we've made our change, and right? People are smiling. I get worried when you smile. I wish you would frown more. But you're smiling, and that makes me feel like it's happening. And we all see this happening all the time at work. Challenge. Get to the heart of the story. Think about these details. Nail the basics. I'm going to keep on saying that. Don't let these things just happen. It's okay. You know, the other thing I think that was really interesting that was cited by Karen, a book that I looked up, and now I'm suddenly blanking on the name of the book, but I'll tell you right after, which is the Conversations. It was the Conversations book. I can't remember what it was called. But the key was, I looked that up, and I actually looked at some of the statements from it. And one of the best things that I'm already going to take away from it, which is, I realize why she actually recommended the book in the vein of her talk, was it's okay to make people unhappy sometimes on a team. You got to say things. We have to be okay in saying things and elevating those details about humanity. We have to say it out loud and go, this is not going to really help people. And if somebody pushes you aside, push back. It's okay to push back, guys. Push back a little bit. Let's push back. We've got to get out there and be with people and say, listen, this has got to happen. We have got to have these conversations, otherwise it's going to be gratuitous. Nobody's going to use it. The end. Right? Embrace the emotions. It's more than a number. I'm a qualitative researcher, so this one hits me really hard. I can't tell you how many times in our work we hear from people, well, can you measure that emotion for me? No, I can't. Emotions are so hard to measure. We don't need numbers for everything. Sometimes it's just an emotion. It's inspiration. We realize that somebody's pissed with something. You're not happy about something. Are you going to go, well, let me discuss that emotion with you and tell you where it falls on a number? That's not what's going to happen, guys. We need to think about the emotions because it is real. It's so real. I mean, even in listening to the previous speakers and all the talks that I've gone to, when things don't go right, or even if it's like I'm trying to plug this in and it's not working, we get frustrated. We get frustrated. It happens to us all the time. So the question is, we need to start thinking about these emotions and be ready to embrace them. It's not enough to just push them aside. Let's think about the fact that it has to be included somehow. And there are ways to do that. But it's way more than a number. We're faced with numbers, deadlines, ROI. I told you that all the time. We will keep on being faced by that. That's a reality. But the question is, we have to be able to push back a little bit on that. How many of you remember this one? Yeah, see, we look at United now and we laugh. That's a bad sign. We look at United Airlines, and I think about that, and I actually followed that story so carefully, only because, and I'll ask you guys to check me on this, in the first 2-3 days of all of the details that came out, they cited nothing but numbers. 4 pilots have to get to this destination. We're losing this many dollars per minute that we're standing at the terminal, stuck to the jetway. We are, and the numbers just kept on going. What did they lose? I think it was like 280 million, some obscene number like that. All they had to do is stand in front of everybody, look at the people who want to get going on their trip, and say, we fucked up. That's all it is. You just say it out loud. But we, big time. Can somebody help us? It's called a human emotion appeal. That's all it is. But put it out there and talk about it in a human way. Sort of like, sorry, here are your blankets and sheets. I'm really sorry this happened. Is there anything else we can get you? How about a bottle of wine? It's not going to cost that much. The cost is actually going to come afterwards. Notice I haven't even mentioned social media in this. And then my biggest ask of all of you. Zarla gave her talk today, and we talk about the fact that reflection has to happen, because none of these, nail the basics, getting to the heart of the story, challenging those gratuitous practices, none of these can happen without us reflecting on our current practices. We have so much that we've taken away from this conference. We have so many great ideas. I will wager that you guys have multiple ideas that you're like, okay, so my head is brewing. I just don't know which way to start and how to apply it, right? And it's exciting. You like that. That's why you come to the conference in the first place. So I ask you to take these ideas, reflect with your team, and say, how can we do better? Did we nail the basics? What are we doing that's just sort of gratuitous? What is the heart of our story? How do we get to it? But schedule it in. I use that word schedule very seriously. Put time down for it, because otherwise somebody's bound to say, oh, it's that fluffy stuff, right? You want to get all touchy-feely on me? Like, I'm not into that, I'm sorry. But get into that touchy-feely stuff and reflect on it and say, this is real. I think of so many people will be like, yeah, but if it's an enterprise software piece, who is going to get fluffy about this? People don't get excited about it. I work with Cisco, and I connect jukeboxes in the back. It's really not interesting. No, but even for that person, we want to make their job exciting. We want to do whatever we can to make them happy. Give them that moment to really think about. My ask of you is to nurture those moments of humanity. Remember how we started this whole thing. You thought about something, and it was funny. I'm watching you from here. I don't know if you're watching people around you. When I asked you to think about a happy moment in your life, we can all do that so quickly, and we think and we're happy, and we're like, we have a little smile on our face, and it was lovely. And then you all did that again for me, and you smiled, and then the moment I said work, some of you chuckled, some of you snickered, and some of you just went, and there was that frown. But I'm going to ask you, let's take those moments of happiness and get rid of the frown. You all did this. You all got into this field because you love creativity, you love people, you love what you do. And I ask of you, nurture those moments of humanity. How can you go back to work and say, we can do this, guys? Stand up. It's okay. What's the worst that can happen? You'll stand up for something you really, really believe in. And sometimes it takes one voice to do that. It just takes one voice to start it. Bless you. And then if not, you have a lot of people who will just keep on going, wow, you know what? You just brought this up. Let's jump on this. Let's get this going. And it's a positive way of looking at things. So I ask you one last time to close your eyes. My ask of you is super simple. What one takeaway, one and one only takeaway from this conference will you stand up for at work that is going to support and nurture those moments of humanity? Just think about one, because there's probably a million, but just think about one. And my ask of you is to really do it. Really, really think, like, this is something that's going to bring that happiness back for me, and it's also going to make it really exciting, and it's going to get things going in the right direction, and I can go back at the end of the day and go, yep, check mark. We did it. Today was another great day. Rock on. Because ultimately, we all want to focus on these moments. These moments are really, really precious. Yes, we can. Thank you, Chris. How will you bring your humanity to work? Thank you so much to everybody, and safe travels.